Thank you for joining us. We're doing the last video of the block of the month, Solare, and I've got one done behind me. I haven't bound it up yet. I quilted it, I squared it up, but I have not put the binding on because I wanted to get to the video of so you guys can all get this far too quickly, of how to put all the blocks that we did for the 12 months together. And didn't it just come out lovely? Look at that, it's just beautiful. I can't wait to actually put it on the bed. I haven't done that yet because I haven't bound it. I'm Donna DeMarco with Aunties Sewing Kits, and my husband Dan is behind the camera. And we are so excited to get this done for you. So we have the first start. We are going to start with, so the numbers I'm going to give you is the numbers correlating to the month that we did the block. So we need block 12 month and a block 10 month. And we are actually going to make 4 of these. So we're going to use one of each block. So with these ones, I'm going to take this apart here. And also, just to let you know, you're going to need a stiletto because some of these seams are pretty big. So it's nice to help with that because you don't want to sew any fingers. And then I did get some nippers out, and then I've got clips. But other than that, I think we're good. Oh, an iron. And let me turn my iron on real quick. A lot of steaming, because I like to lay these all nice and flat. So when you put it on the long arm, it comes out nice and flat and beautiful. If you don't iron your seams down good, then your long armor is not going to like you very much, or you're not going to like yourself very much if you quilt it yourself. So, so we've got block 10. This block right here is block 10 for month 10, and then we've got block 12, and block 12 is this one, and then so we got 2 of these. And we've got 2 of these. Now the next step is to put these on. So I put one side on here already on this one. I'm going to move this out of side so it doesn't. So I've got this one on here already, and we just need to put this one on now. So I'm going to sew that just like that, right on there, and then it's going to come out like that. So let me get to the sewing machine and do that real quick, and then we'll have the first part done. Alright, I haven't sewed with the sewing machine over here yet, and my chair's a little short, so my arms are up a little high, but we will get through this. So it's just a nice straight sew. Just make sure it's all lined up. Give yourself a 1/4 inch. Make sure you're staying straight there. And then, of course, with the whole entire quilt, we are going to set that seam, make sure it's nice and relaxed, and then we're gonna get that over. Sometimes I like to, some of them finger press, but this is pretty straight seam. Sometimes if you don't finger press it first, then what will happen is you won't get it all the way over, and then your block will be short. But some of these, like this piece, has no seams in it, so it goes pretty good. But we just want to make sure that's nice and flat. There we go. So part 1 is done as soon as you get all 4 of those done. So you're just going to take the short one that you did, and then the long one, and put it on the top. And you're going to do it on the 2 blocks of 10 and 2 blocks of 12. And then we'll have this done. So I'm just going to put that back in there. That's going to put those together, and we're going to put those aside because we are going to use them later. Then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to, these strips are the ones that we cut for 10. We are going to make 4 of these, but I've already made the other 3, so we're just going to make 2. These ones, though, we're going to make 8 of these. So we're going to take the fabric and just sew it together. It's just a nice straight seam, and we're going to add those together. Then we've got our blocks. We've got block 11 and block 12, and that's what we've got. So we will take and put these together, and on your pattern it shows you the order to do it. So we're going to lay this one up right, and then we're going to put a block 11, and then we're going to put a block 12, a block 12, a block 12, a block 12, and then block 11, and then the other one of this. So I'll show you at the machine here. And I've got it kind of laid out here. Pull that over, because I like to always double check what I'm doing, because I get busy and get fast and get excited that it's getting done. Switch this over here, and then I get it out of order. So we want to make sure that the blue is up and the white is down. And then we're going to start with block 11. I didn't bring a little pin cushion, so I'll have to use my thing. And we're going to put block 11 here. Now be careful of the rotation, because you want to make sure that it's going this way. Look at your pattern and it'll show you. So we're just going to put this on here real quick. Make sure that's all squared up. You can pin it, clip it, whatever you're comfortable with. I'm just going to sew it. When I get to the bigger ones, we will be doing pinning or clipping, whichever you prefer. But these smaller ones, they go pretty good. Okay, so we got that one. Tuck that under there. And then we're going to do block 12. And I'm going to put that pin up there. And with this one, again, be careful of the rotation. So this one we want the big triangle, the white triangle, to go up, and we want the brown to go down. So the big white triangle is going to meet that orange square at the top. And we're just going to put that on there real quick. Make that nice and even. And then we've got the block, what was it, 12? Yeah, to look at my pen. Block 12 again, and we're going to meet up these two brown pieces and these pieces here. So when we flip this over, I'm just checking this corner to make sure it's matched up, so we get a pretty good setting there to match up the chevron that we're making there. All good. You don't want to tug on your fabric. I'd rather be off a little bit than tug, because then you're, it's smushing it and it's making it wonky and it's not going to look good. It'll look better being off a little bit. And then this one, we're putting the two whites together. So this one's easy peasy. There's no seam in that one. And yeah, I need to see some of the ones that you've done. So when you finish, please post what you did. I want to see them. This quilt is just so gorgeous. There we go. And then we got one more to sew here. And this one, again, we're going to put the two browns together, just like we did on the other one. And those little dog ears you might want to clip off. I don't always clip mine off. I really should, because it makes it easier for the long arm, not going through all that. That seam a little bit smaller. Okay, and now we are going to put the block 11 to look again, and we're going to face the orange triangles coming up towards the top on that side. We got that. Okay, there we go. Sure all our seams are laying down nice and flat when we sew across them. And then this one goes on there again. Remember blue on top? So I'm just gonna flip that over. Make sure the blue's on top. There we go. Okay. And these ones got flipped from underneath. Be careful of that too. Flip that up. All right, so we've got this one done now, and I already did the other 3 because you're going to have 4 of these. And again, we are going to relax that seam. Relax that seam. And that seam. And I can't do it with that hand anymore. I just recently had surgery on that hand, and yeah, it doesn't like the iron. It's heavy. Alright, so there we go. That next one. Get that next one. And here's the last one. Just going to set those seams. And then I'm going to put it this way. So I usually at this point, I know always due to the dark side, but at this point I let the quilt dictate which way it wants to iron. This side has less seams in it, so it tends to always want to do that anyways, because you know, pushing down all those extra seams is a lot. So I'm just going to make sure that's set real good. Give a little bit of steam on each one. Make sure that's there we go. Yeah, now we're going to the seams, so it doesn't want to pucker over there. Well, but we did it. And then at this point, if you're a clapper person and you like putting those on here, this is a good time to start using those. Make sure you got nice and square. My iron's pretty heavy, so I just use the weight of the iron and push a little bit. You should let it cool before you move it and all that good stuff, but I don't want to, so I'm not going to. So here is our strip, and we have 4 of these when we're done. So you want to make sure blue's on top, the orange goes towards the center, blue's on top, orange goes towards the center, and then you're making the 2 chevrons here. So I'm going to move that out of my way for just a second. Over here. If I can get it to stretch over the table, there we go. All right. And so then the next thing we want to do is we want to make another strip. So for this one, we are going to use block 3, 2 of them. We need 2 month 3s, and we need 2 month 9s, and we need 2 month 8s. And then we're going to put them together. So I'm going to move these over here out of the way, and then I'm going to put these here so I can read the numbers, because I will forget what numbers they are as soon as I take them off here. Alright, there we go. So we are going to take these over to the sewing machine and get this row sewed up. So with this one, now see, I already forgot. I knew I was going to forget. I tried to put it in order. So we're going to, so we got block 3, month 3, 8, and 9 here. And on the outside, we're going to put this one. And what we want to do is make sure the dark corner, it's only got one dark corner, that's going to go down. And then we're going to take one of the white, the one with the white on it. So we've got the white here. So we want that one, and that one is going to go up. The white part's going to go up against the orange part, making this a strip coming down here. So I'm going to push that over. Funny story is I had it all laid out this morning. We started, and then we realized we had no audio. So I've got some of it put together before we realized we didn't have any audio. So we're going to start again and start from the beginning, but I've already sewed these pieces together that I didn't have sewed so I could show you. But these are all straight sewing. There's no, you know, anything but just a straight sew. So I'm going to show you what I did, and then we'll continue on with the rest of it, because I've already done this once. So the first thing you're going to do is when you get to the finishing of the quilt in the pattern, is it's going to have you cut a little bit more fabric. So this fabric piece here and this fabric piece here. When I talk about the number of the block, I'm talking about the month that the block was done. So it'll help you put it together a little bit easier, I hope. So this one was block 12. So we did this block in block 12. And then we did these 3 blocks in month 10. So we got this one. I don't know if you can see that real good there. And we've got this one. I'm trying to spread them out here so you can kind of see them. And we got this one. We did these 3 in block 10, or month 10. And we are going to put these strips on 2 sides. So we're going to put the strip down at the bottom, and then we're going to put this longer strip on each side. And those are from block 10, or month 10, I keep saying that. And this one is from month 12. So let me just pin that back together, because remember in the very, very first video I said, mark your blocks, because there's a lot of blocks and I don't want to get confused, because I am easily confused. So we're going to set that aside, because we just needed to sew those 2 pieces on that. Then what I did was, we need to make 4 of these, and I had this one non-sewed together for you this morning, but yeah, things happen and we adapt, so we're adapting. And my iron keeps turning off and it's driving me crazy. Does anybody else have that problem? You know, when I want it off, I'll turn it off. I don't know why they make it so it has to do that. I would think there'd be a function that says, no, you don't have to turn it off, but it does. So in the finishing, you're also going to be instructed to cut these 2 pieces, and then you can sew them together to make this long piece. When you do this one, this is upside down. There we go. When you do this one, let me see. Can you see that okay? All of that? Okay. So you're going to sew these blocks together. This one is going to be part of what you sew together on the finishing block. So don't worry that you don't already pre-have this. This is something we're going to do now. And then we're going to sew it to the beginning. Make sure the blue is up. Make sure this orange stripe goes towards the top. Then we're going to do, and this one is block month 11. And you need 2 of them. Month 11, month 11. Then we're going to grab 4 of these blocks from from month 12. The first one we're going to sew on with the white piece against the stars. And the, I'm going to call this beige, it's kind of a brownish color, down towards the middle. Then we're going to sew the next one on with the brown to the brown, and then the white to the white, and then the brown to the brown, making these chevrons. Then we're going to take another 11, we're going to sew it on there and make sure this orange is coming up here to the top. And then this piece again, we're going to put blue on top. And then we'll be done with this one. You need 4 of them. I already pre-sewed the other 3 together, and then I sewed this with no audio. So there we go. So I'm going to lay this down and this here for a second. The next string we're going to do is we're also going to do 4 of these, and I already did 3 of them, and then this one I sewed for you with no audio. So we've got month 9, we got month 8, and we got month 3. So we're going to sew month 9 together. We're going to make sure these goes towards the center. I got this upside down for you. Let me turn this around so it's right side up for you. So we're going to make sure these orange stripes come up. There is only 1 dark block on this one, and we're going to put that down at the bottom. So when we sew this piece on, this goes together. Then we're going to sew this with the tannish piece towards the middle, and we're going to sew these together. Then this one from month 3, we're going to rotate and make sure these go together, making this nice chevron. Then on this one, we're going to sew these two pieces together, and this is going to go down again to the corner of the dark block, the only dark block on month 9. I think I can remember that from here to here. And so then we'll have this one. So you make 4 of these, and then we sew them together. So the next thing we need to do is make 4 of the next ones, and we're sewing this strip to the other strips. Now when I sewed these together for you, I just sewed them. I didn't pin them or anything. I'm not a big pinner. If you want to pin them, that's okay. A lot of people like to pin, but I'm not a big pinner unless I have to. But now that we've got a strip that is this long, we have to. Because what happens is the feed dogs will pull so tight on this side, and the top pressure foot doesn't, and it'll stretch the material. If you have them pinned together, you don't get that wonkiness. You know, sometimes you sew quilts together and you're like, why is it all ripply and wonky? It's because it didn't go through the same. So if you were to pin that and keep that all together, then it stays together and you don't get that wonkiness. I still do not like pins, so I've got my Wonder Clip. So I'm going to clip it. So when I do that, I'm going to make sure everything goes the way it's supposed to. So the blue pieces again are on top. And now we've got these orange pieces coming all the way down like that. I'm going to take these pins out so I won't be able to tell you what month these blocks are, because I will forget, but we don't really need those anymore. There we go. I think to put them in over here. Alright, so when I clip these together, I'm going to make sure that's all perfectly straight there. Now I'm going to go this way, and I'm going to make sure this lines up and this lines up. And then I'm going to come back and make sure this lines up and this lines up, and then I'm going to finish clipping. Because I want to make sure these pieces really line up. So I'm just going to put that together. I'll put my clips up here so I have them. So I'm just going to make sure those are together, nice and even. Might even open that seam up a little bit to make it a little bit better. And then I'm going to make sure this side is good. You can start from the end. I mean, it should all line up, but this is just the way I like to do it. So whatever you want to do. Actually, I'm going to start back over here before I go that way. And we'll line this orange square up. Get that pinned or clipped. I love these clips. I'm so grateful they came out with these clips. You know, pins, I just tend to stab myself a lot. And I don't like stabbing myself because then I have to run for a Band-Aid, and sometimes I just start with a Band-Aid on just so I don't bleed on the fabric. But love these clips. Ironing, again, I cannot stress how important ironing perfectly flat and getting everything really good. I showed you that earlier, but I'll go, and that's why I'm going over it now, because I didn't get to have audio. So when you iron it, make sure you relax the seams down before you flip it open and iron it. If it's not working out very well, always make sure you finger press. If you have, like I'm going to show you here, if you have a lot of seams in there, make sure that you finger press if you're going to that side. Otherwise I'd go to this side. But finger pressing makes it so it doesn't bunch up on one side, and you get that nice crisp seam there. And that's what we're really ultimately looking for. I'm going to come back over here and finish this real quick. And when we're dealing with strips this long, less or more is good, not less is more, but more is good, because we want to make sure that the fabric stays together and you don't get that wonkiness. Now I'm going to make sure this lines up good. There we go. should come out nice and even anyways. Try not to pull. Pulling just makes it look worse. I'd rather be a little bit off on the seam than stretching the fabric, because stretching the fabric will make it kind of do that ruffly thing too. We don't want to do that. There we go. Sometimes you can kind of work it in there, but if you did it all correctly, it should be fine. So now I'm going to take this to the sewing machine, and we're just going to do a long straight line right here. So we can take a break for a minute, and I'll come right back.
Okay.
Alright, so I'm finishing up sewing this piece on here, and then we'll get it ironed up. Just make sure everything's still lined up. It's just a nice straight sew. That's why I just figured, you know, time. But you want to make sure that the seams stay flat. I was tucking it in because I have a little bump right here transitioning, and sometimes it flips the seam the wrong way. So I always make sure the seam's laying flat, because we want to make sure everything is nice and flat. It makes the quilt look so much better, and if everything's nice and flat, your long armer is going to love you a whole lot more, and you're going to love yourself more if you do your own quilting. It just makes it so much easier, and you know, it looks a lot better when everything's nice and crisp too. You can even use some, you know, spray on it if you want, but I tend to not use spray except on certain projects. So for now, we are going to set the seam, and there my iron shut off again. If you know the manufacturers, please tell them to stop making the iron turn off, or put a button on so you can tell it not to, because that would be great. We would all love that, I think. I know when I want my iron off, I'll turn it off. Okay, so I'm just setting the seam, just getting it warm. It relaxes it, it sets it into place, it gets rid of all those little ripples. It's just going to make it look much better. Then I'm going to throw it back over my board here, and I'm going to open it up. Give it a flip. Alright. So I let the quilt dictate how it wants to go. On this one, we're just going to let it do that. I use tons and tons of stain because, again, we want it flat. And then I just kind of press it for a little bit, and it looks like I'm sliding, but I'm kind of picking it up a little bit. And then, because yeah, you don't want to stretch the fabric either. And I give it a little actual press. And then I like to make sure it's all out. And again, finger pressing, make sure that that seam is open to the fullest before you iron it. And then I like to iron it. I kind of roll over it a little bit, lift up, and I got it not there, so I want to get that. And then I just kind of give it a peek real quick before I give it any steam, because I want to make sure that I didn't catch the material in there and it's not opened up all the way. So once we know that it's good to go, we give it that iron and give it the steam. Pull it down again. Give it a nice little finger press. This point, I love it. I know I have an ironing board, but I really love this mat. So this mat, it gets warm because it's wool. And what it does is now it's heating from the other side too, once you've been doing this, and that's why I keep it on the same line to make sure. And since it's warm on both sides, you don't have to flip it over and iron the other side too, which makes it nice. Alright, there we go. That down there really good. If you have one of those clappers, this is a good time to use it, but I just use the weight of the iron, kind of push on it a little bit, and I know that you're supposed to let it, you know, cool off before you move it so it stays nice and flat, but I've never really had a problem, so I think it's okay. Alright, so now we have 4 of these because I did the other ones earlier. So with the 4 of these, I'm going to lay this on top of the other ones there, and that makes 4 now. And let's flip the page because I don't remember do next. Okay, so let me get these out of the way. So I got 4 of these. Just gonna fold these and move these out of my way. These are done here now. Alright, so now we're gonna grab these ones. We have, can you see that okay? We have a couple of these that we're doing. This one is month 8, month 6, month 4, and month 2. And we're going to take them and sew them together in this orientation. So we got the ones with the flowery on it going up to this corner, and the one with the more whiter blue one going to that corner, and these like this. And if we look, can't see the whole quilt all the way down to the bottom, but let's see where those are at. They are right here. So we've got, is that this one? Yes. So we've got this one, see how it goes in there with that? This one, and this one. So that is our 4 blocks that we have right here, going right here. And then on this side, we've got the 4 blocks here. 1, 2, 3, 4. This doesn't look like a block, but it is. It's this block here. You got that white piece in the corner there. That white piece goes right here. This one is, then we've got this one that we do, and I think we do 2 of each of these. So this one is month 5, month 8, month 1, we got month 1, and month 4. Those ones are going to be more, I think those goes towards the bottom, which, you know, my ceiling's only so high, so it doesn't go that high, but it's still going to be in the same orientation, just on more of the bottom. So we got those ones, and then we've got, then we're going to sew them all together. So we got month 7, which we have this bigger block. So this block is this block right here. So you can put that right there. And we want the blue down, so that block goes right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to sew I sewed one on already, and we'll sew the other side on. So this side I sewed onto this one. So what I did was I took block 7 and put it on either side of, it goes like this. So I've got block 7, and then I took the 2 blocks that we just made. I put one over here and I put one over here. So that's those 4 blocks that we were just looking at. And then I sewed this together. So now I'm going to sew the 3 blocks together for the bottom side, and then I'm going to sew that on. So we'll get started, and you'll see how it all comes together. I'm going to leave that out so you can kind of see it there. I need to not have that there though. There we go. It's kind of crinkly, but get the idea. So these 2 I am going to need to sew on each outside of this one. Note the orientation of the blue blocks here. So those blue blocks have an orientation how it needs to go. I don't know if you can see down here, but we've got all the blues facing in to the middle block. This is actually the middle of the quilt way down here. It's such a big quilt. So that block is actually block 4. And see, all these blues come to that intersection there. So when we sew these ones, so we got the months down. I'm going to take these pins out because I will never be able to tell you what month they are again once I take these pins out. But these are good for marking, but they're not good for ironing. So I need to take these out. Okay, and the 7 is out. So I'm going to take this one, and this is borderline whether you'd want to pin it or not. So if you are a pinner or a clipper, definitely do that one, but I think I'm going to just go with it the way it is. So now I need to figure out the orientation of these. So let's see here. We've got this one goes on this side, and look at your pattern, it'll tell you. And then this one goes on this side. Both of them, it looks like it's got this blue piece up towards that way, the flower piece in, blue piece up. So for this one, I'm going to take, and I'm just double checking because, you know, measure once, cut twice. I don't want to see, and I've got this wrong. This one actually goes over here. I had the orientation right, but I had the wrong block on the wrong side. So this one goes here, and this one goes here. Yep, that's the way it goes. And we got the blue one down there. Alright, so I'm going to take this one, I'm going to line it up, and then I'm going to take it over to the sewing machine. And we'll just give it a sew. Okay, and now we are going to set this one on there, which normally I would just do it at the machine. So we got that all rotated the way we want it. So we got this piece, so we're just doing all the center now. Nice, huh? Makes you feel like you're really getting somewhere, but then we still have all the border pieces to put on. So it's like, oh, I had it all done. All right. Make sure that's flat. You want to catch the first stitch of the needle in the machine. Otherwise it does that. Even though I did, but I have a big bump there. Stiletto, you need to use one so you don't sew your fingers. Has anybody ever sewed their fingers on the sewing machine? Put it in the comments below. I would like to know that I'm not the only one that has sewed my finger. I didn't sew my finger on a straight needle though. I've never done that, but I was doing some embroidery on the embroidery machine, and I was straightening a piece out, and it sucked my, I mean it literally just sucked my hand in there and sewed my fingers. So I love my stiletto, and I don't do that anymore. So learn from me, don't do that, don't straighten it out. Let's see, I kind of went off a little bit there. So I'm just double checking my seam, make sure I got it, everything good, and I do. All right, so we've got that. Well, see it turn off again. It turned off too quickly. I mean, I was just over here. There we go. Now we're going to open this up. Pull that down. Can't hold it in the hand. I really want to, but I can't. I just recently had surgery on that hand, and it's still a little sore. This iron is pretty heavy too. There we go. Nice and flat. Alright, so now we've got this big piece here, and we're going to put it on that side. This time I am going to pin, because if it gets so long it just starts doing this, so we don't want it to do that for sure. So let's see, this is now upside down and it's kind of hard to tell what goes where, but again, we want these blue pieces to go in the middle, so we know it has to go this way. And that puts the blue pieces towards the center. And now I'm just going to give it some clips here. Turn this down. And the blocks should all line up. Grab my clippies. Alright. We're getting there. This is all nice and square. After all, this is the center of the quilt. We want it to be as good as we can get. Do a clippy. Alright, so I'm just going to finish clipping this and making sure it's all good. I'm going to sew it up and I'll meet you right back here. Alright, so I finished sewing that on. So we got our blocks that we sewed together here, and then the middle ones, and then the bottom ones. So this is our core. This is the middle. That is making up this whole middle section here. Then what we're going to do is we're going to sew the sides on. So we're going to sew those two sides on. So this one, now we have to make sure we have the correct orientation. So on this side we've got, should both be the same, and they are. And I'm just checking my orientation here of which one goes up. So let me look at the book. So we're going to take these two, this one, we got this one, these ones are all for the same, so we're going to take two of those. And one of them is going to go on one side and one's on the other side. Now, pretty much it all looks the same, so I need to figure out which way goes up. And we've got the stars in the corners. And we've got this one and this one. This one, and then this one, and then the bottom has the blue. And that one should be blue as well. Yeah. So it goes. So this is the top. You might want to write top on it or something, maybe on the back, or put a clippy here, then you know this is the top. But this is the top, and I know that because I'm looking at the orientation on here, and I'm looking to see which two these are and which two those are. And at the top, I do not have, I have it upside down, so it's making it a little harder. I'm going to turn my book upside down. So it's making it a little bit difficult for me to see that. Actually, no, I need to turn this around, but I believe this is the top. I'm pretty sure. so once we find the top, then we'll know where the sides are. So I'm just going to look at just this piece right here, because this is the piece I want to know is the top or not. So we have that one there, and we have that one there, and we have the purple one, star pattern there, and we have that one there. All right, so our memory card got full. We had to switch it out, so it's kind of a little switch there. But I just wanted to find the top. And looking at this, these two need to be here. These two need to be here according to the pattern in the book. And that's how I orientated that. Or I could have looked here, what I did last time, but you won't have that, so we'll just look at the book. Then we need to sew one of these long ones that we did on each side. We are going to sew, so this piece is to the outside and this piece is to the inside. So I'm going to move this one, and again, we've got a long strip here again, so we are going to have to do some clipping or pinning, whichever you prefer. I'm going to move this over here, and it doesn't matter which side you want to do first. Just grab a side, make it go on the side, and we will get this pinned together. There we go. I'm just going to grab my pins, and I'm going to double check and make sure that goes to the outside, so this flips this way. That goes to the corner. I'm just going to double check that. Does that go? Yes, it does go to the corner. Okay. I was checking these orange squares to make sure that the orange square should touch this, and it does. So we're good. And then this is to the outside, so when we flip it over, it goes that way. Oh, wait a second. I flipped it so I go this way. See, I just need to keep track of myself there, don't I? So, there we go. Turn it around. Alright, we can just skip all that. See, I'm talking and not paying attention. Alright. Now I'm going to make sure that this lines up with this, the chevron, and I'm going to make sure this chevron lines up with that chevron. And that is my goal. So it looks like it just keeps going, like these all just keep going, but they really don't. So I'm going to clip that and make sure that that piece goes there. Then I'm going to clip this one. And then I'll come back and put all the other clips in because we don't want it doing this. And if we don't clip it or pin it, it's going to be wonky like this when we stretch it out. And that is something we do not want. And it needs to go there. So I need to put this one here. Alright, so I'm going to clip this and I'm going to sew it up and we'll be right back. Alright, so I sewed this strip on to the side of the middle piece that we had, which is, well, maybe easier to see on this side, is this strip right here. So it starts here and goes down. So that's the strip that I just put on there. So it starts right here and goes down. And now I'm going to sew on the other side. So I will pin this side now and get that sewed on, and then I'll meet you right back here. Alright, so I sewed both sides on now. So this side I sewed on, and the other side I sewed on to the middle piece that we did. Remember, we had the middle, and then we sewed this block on that side of this one, and then we had these three that we sewed top to bottom, and now I sewed the two sides on. Now we're going to be working on what we need to sew on the top and the bottom. So that would be this piece here. So these blocks that we did a few minutes ago, and we put, remember we put the sashing here on each side? Those are the blocks that we're now going to sew to this big strip that we just did. We did 2 of these strips. Well, we did 4 of them because one we sewed on this side, one we sewed on that side, and now the other two we're going to put the cornerstones in, and that'll be good. So I'm just going to get this out of the way, and I'm going to grab those other two strips, and we're going to put the corner blocks on there that we did in the very beginning. So we got, these are the same strips that we just sewed onto each side, but now these ones from the very beginning, we're going to sew on each side of these. We just need to figure out which one goes where. So again, I am going to look at the directions here. We've got, this one's block 12, and the other three were all done in month 10. I'm going to take all these off now. And we are going to take these sashings and they go against the side. It doesn't matter which way they go, they're all exactly the same. So that is at least good news there. So this one is going to go, I need to put this the way it goes here. This one is going to go, so it's going to go on that end. I'm looking for that one. There we go. So I'm looking for the one with the orange in the middle. That one is going to go on this side of one, and the sashing goes in, just like it does here. And I'm not going to clip this all the way down because this is I'm just going to sew this on, but I am going to clip it there so we know that it goes to that side. I'm just going to give it a couple clips. I'm not aligning it or anything. I'm just making sure I know it goes there. And then on that side of that one, with the one with the orange block in the middle, gets this one. So, and then again, we want to sew the sashing. I want you to go this way. So when it opens up, it goes this way. This sashing goes, mix this. So we want to sew this sashing piece here and the other sashing towards here. And hopefully we did that on the other side too. I just forgot to say something. There we go. So again, I am not adjusting it. I'm just making sure that we know it goes on that side. And then we got that one. So I will take it and sew here and sew here. And let's see, we need these blocks now. This one is the block that is actually going to go on that side. And this one is going to go over here. Just scooch this down so I can see it better. So it goes this way, because again, the rough edge of the block goes up, the sashing goes down in orientation this way. And again, I'm just clipping it to make sure I know that it goes on this side. And then this one is going to go over here. And again, we want to turn it so that's up. There we go. And I'm going to take this over to the sewing machine and sew these 4 cornerstone blocks on, and I will be right back. Alright, so I sewed the cornerstones onto the other strips. Remember, we made 4 of them, these strips right here. So I've got this corner sewed on, this corner sewed on, and then the 2 for the bottom, because this is going to be the top and bottom. Because these strips on the sides is what this strip is in the middle. So we've got the cornerstone here, the cornerstone here, the one there, and then all the way over here is that one. The quilt's getting a little bit harder to manage now. So now we need to grab the quilt middle, which is all of this piece that we have here. Well, actually it's from here all the way over to here now. And then we're going to put these pieces on, the top and the bottom. So with that one, let's get this unfolded here. Maybe. It's hard when I only have the one hand. This one is just really not healed up yet. Alright. So this is a side, and this is a top or bottom. I have to figure out which one's the top and the bottom again. Alright, so we've got this one here. We've got this block here, the purple one. Let me grab my book. You can probably look behind me too. Make sure that's not wet from the steam before I put my book there. So this is the side, that's the side, this is that block, so we've got that, and that is the block, this is this block, because we've got this middle, and this one is this block, because we've got this middle. So that is a top. You know what? I think the bottom probably has the same two blocks in the same two spots, so it might not matter. Let's see. Nope, it's opposite. So the bottom has the brown block on your left side, my right, and has the multicolor piece block in the middle on your left. The top has the multicolor piece on your left and your right. So I'll stand this way. So on the left side has the multi-block, and on the right side has the brown block for the top. The bottom is opposite. The brown block is on that side and the multi-block is on that side. Did I make that more confusing or what? So I'm going to take, and now that I know that this is definitely the top, I will take it over here in a minute because this definitely, again, has to be pinned, whether we like it or not, because we know I don't like to, but we don't want all that wonkiness. We want a nice, pretty straight quilt. So now I need to figure out the blocks that go on the top. So sounds like a Jenga block on the bottom. So we got the orange block in the middle there, and we've got a star pattern here. So let me figure. Here's one with an orange. Might be the one right here. That would be awesome, wouldn't it? That like never happens. So we got orange, and what do we have on this side? We have the same block. And your pattern will show which one goes where. It does show it here. I just happen to have a wide one there. And so we know that the blue strip on this blue strip here, let's see if I can get it so you can actually see it. This blue strip is going to be sewed to the quilt. This is going to be towards the top. So this blue strip right here is sewed to the quilt. So we know it goes this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this around this way, and I'm going to double check, triple check everything before I actually pin this or do anything to this, because I want to make sure it's going to be easier for me if I do it like this. And then lay the other one on top. We're getting pretty big now. Alright, so this one is going to go this way. And that does put the orange square. I got the orange square right here on this side, which if I pick this up and put it this way, it will be on that side. But it has no choice but to go that way, because we know that we need to sew this blue strip to the quilt top. So I am going to get this all evened out, and I'm going to have my lovely assistant cameraman / husband help me with this, because this isn't where I usually do it, and I don't have enough space to do that and stretch that out for me, and we will be right back. Thank you. Okay, so now I got the top, this little top and the bottom on there. It's hard to see because it's getting really big. This is king size. So the top is this piece here that I sewed on. And then I also sewed the bottom piece on that I showed you just before. And then I went ahead and sewed this little border strip. It's just a little 2-inch border strip that goes all the way around, and it's done with fabric 2. So fabric 2, you're going to do the borders, just this little strip right here. It kind of blends in, but there is a little 2-inch border, and that I just did right here. So that's on here. And what I do, the pattern called, you make it so long and chop it, and then make it so long and chop it. What I like to do is when I sew these pieces together, I like to just leave it one big long strip. When I get to the end, I cut it off. Then I get to the next, I cut it off. And that way I have exactly the amount that I need all the time. But you can do what the pattern says, it'll work out too. But that's just the way I do it. When I sew these together, I also sew the diagonal seam like you would for binding and borders, just because you don't want the bulk of that. And it tends to just kind of blend a little better. You can't see the seam as well because it's not a straight line. So I did that as well. But you put the 2 sides on first, and then you put the tops and the bottoms on. So now we have this last border that we're doing, which is, I think they called it the envelope or something like that. And so these ones I think we also did during block 12. And these ones are a little tricky. After you get these sewed together, definitely measure. It tells you how big the block should be. Measure the block. I started sewing them together and I didn't measure the block. I just assumed I did it perfect, and it wasn't absolutely perfect. And this is a border block, so you don't want it to have any imperfections. You want it to be nice and straight. So definitely each block, before you sew it on, measure it. It gives you the measurements in the pattern. Make sure that it's an exact measurement. Then sew them together. You want to sew 8 of them together, and you're going to make 4 of these with 8. And then you're just going to sew them end to end, all the way down, the white on one side, all the way down, and the dark on the bottom. Then on 2 of them, it'll tell you what size to cut these also in the pattern. So on 2 of them, which I believe is the top and the bottom, I'll have to double check that in a second. You're going to take and put this piece on the end, because that's going to make up this very corner right here. So after you sew these on, you can sew this across, and that's going to give it that corner. So 2 of these, you're going to put one of those little blocks on each end. Now, there's another thing with these blocks, is usually your outside borders are like this, but it's not this time. We've got a lot of stitch points. See all these stitch points? So there's a couple things you can do, which I did with this one, and then when I got to this one, I forgot until I was almost done. So I backstitched all of these. When I was sewing them together, I backstitched. That way, when it goes around the end and it's getting tugged on, or if you leave it as a UFO for a long time, those seams are not coming apart. The other thing you can do, which I'm going to put this on the long arm right away, and I do my own long arming, so I think it'll be fine for me, but the other thing you can do, and I highly recommend it if you don't backstitch each one, is to sew all the way around the edge, just like 1/8 of an inch, because you want it to go under the binding and stuff, because you want to make sure these seams do not start pulling. Again, I can't stress enough, because usually we have strips, border strips, that don't have all those seams in it, and it's fine, but now that we have all those stress points, we want to make sure they stay together and don't get spread and pulled apart. So now we need to, and let me look at the book, I'm pretty sure the corner block ones go on the top and bottom. Yes. So we're going to sew the envelopes without the little cornerstone on it to the sides, and then the ones with the little cornerstone on it we're going to do to the top and the bottom. So let's see, here we go. I'm going to fold this one back up a little bit here. I want it to get all wrinkly. And then we'll get those sides on, and then we will be done. And then the only thing we'll need to do is get it on the quilting machine, get it quilted, get it squared up, and put binding on. And this one still needs binding as well. But that's all we need to do now, is just put each of these on there. It's getting kind of hard for me to pull this out and show you anymore, but so see, like this one, the dark goes towards, so when we pin this, I'm going to pin it this way, and it's going to go down the side, and we're going to pin it all the way down the side, and then the other one, because that way when you flip it over, you've got the white to the outside and the dark to the inside. So the white goes all the way to the outside. Yeah, so that's all we need to do is sew that side, sew the other side, put the top and bottom on, and we are done. Oh my goodness. It took forever to get this done. But we did it. Look what you did. And please show me some of what you guys have done, and thanks for sticking it out with me through this whole entire video. You had 12 months of it. So I'm Donna DeMarco with Aunties Sewing Kits, and my husband Dan is behind the camera. And we look forward to seeing you in our next video. Please also request what quilts you would like me to show you how to do. I have had a few requests, and I will get those out as soon as we can get to more videos. So, yeah. Thank you.